The liberal media wants you to believe that Kilmar Abrego Garcia is a loving, wonderful Maryland father who was wrongly deported based on an administrative error, and now they are refusing to send him back to his home. But the truth is that he is an illegal immigrant from El Salvador. He was sent back to El Salvador, and he has a violent history, and he has alleged ties to the gang MS-13. Let's get into this and expose the truth. Please make sure that you are subscribed. This Democrat Senator, Chris Van Hollen, went to El Salvador to rescue him, and guess what? He couldn't.
I also told his wife and family that I would try to meet with Mr. Abrego Garcia while I was here. So I asked the vice president if I could meet with Mr. Abrego Garcia. And he said, well, you need to make earlier provisions to go visit CCOT. I said, I'm not interested at this moment in taking a tour of CCOT. I just want to meet with Mr. Abrego Garcia. He said he was not able to make that happen. He said he need a little more time. I asked him if I came back next week, whether I'd be able to see Mr. Abrego Garcia. He said he couldn't promise that either. So I asked him if I could get on the phone, either video phone or just a phone, and talk to Mr. Abrego Garcia. So I could just ask him how he's doing so I could report back to his family. He said he could not arrange that. He said maybe if the American embassy were to ask, maybe that could happen. So I will certainly ask the American embassy to ask the government of El Salvador to connect us by phone.
Oh my goodness.
I asked him how about his family?
Why do you care so much? You care more about this random illegal immigrant who everybody wants you to think, by the way, that he's been contributing so much to our society. And in a second, I'm also going to tell you the story about a guy who voted for Donald Trump, and they went on vacation to Puerto Rico, I believe. And then when they were coming back into the U.S., his wife got deported, and she's Peruvian. So I have a very unique take on that. But okay, let's go ahead and finish what we have here, because there is plenty of evidence that Kilmar is not a very good guy. So here you can see Kilmar Abrego Garcia. He was born in El Salvador. Apparently he is unemployed. So in March of 2019, police observed 4 individuals. Okay, so just listen to the type of people that Kilmar was hanging around. One of them has an extensive criminal history, multiple assaults, concealing dangerous weapons, burglary, and other things. Another guy that he was around has tattoos indicative of Hispanic gang culture, not tattoos of his kids' names or something like that. Skulls covering his eyes, ears, and mouth. He had a tattoo of the devil on his left leg, which is for high-ranking MS-13 gang members. He is an active MS-13 gang member with the Sailor Clique, the rank of Chicao, which is the moniker Monicao. And of course, then there was also Kilmar, who was hanging out with them at this Home Depot. And he was wearing a Chicago Bulls hat and a hoodie with rolls of money covering the eyes, ears, and mouth of the presidents on the separate denominations. Officers know such clothing to be indicative of Hispanic gang culture, which represents ver, oír, y callar, see no evil, hear no evil, and say no evil. And officers know that MS-13 gang members are only allowed to hang around other gang members or prospects. Okay, so this is one incident. We can see clear ties to this MS-13 gang. Democrats want you to believe that it is a great idea to come into our country illegally and for us to have absolutely no documentation on these people like Kilmar didn't have. So he is a citizen and national of El Salvador. He claimed to have walked across the desert for many days, entering illegally into the United States. Okay, so he is not a citizen. And even if he had a TPA status, that is a system that has been completely abused by the Biden administration. And they have been giving this protective status to pretty much everybody and anybody who wanted it. So it says that he claims fear of returning to his home country of El Salvador Salvador, just like many people were doing the same thing with Venezuela, saying that they needed to come to the United States for protection, even though that wasn't necessarily true. This is what the president of El Salvador responded to CNN's question about them returning him to the United States.
President Bukele weigh in on this? Do you plan to return him?
Well, I'm supposed to be not suggesting that I'll smuggle a terrorist into the United States, right?
It's always
how can I smuggle? How can I return him to the United States? Like, I smuggle him into the United States, or what do I do? Of course, I'm not going to do it. It's like, I mean, the question is preposterous. How can I smuggle a terrorist into the United States? I don't have the power to return him to the United States.
You could release him inside of Salvador.
Yeah, but I'm not releasing. I mean, we're not very fond of releasing terrorists into our country. I mean, we just turned the murder capital of the world into the safest country of the Western Hemisphere, and you want us to go back into releasing criminals so we can go back to being the murder capital of the world? No, that's not going to be happening.
Well, they'd love to have a criminal, released into
I mean, there's a fascination.
They would love it.
Yeah.
They're sick. These are sick people. Marco, do you have something?
I mean, it is just pretty amazing that he is able to see the United States from a distance and be able to put into perspective of what is happening. And he recognizes that he shouldn't have been allowed into the U.S. in the first place. And he, in no way would he send him back. So why is it that we have so many deranged Americans who will make it their days in life's mission to try to bring him back? We're seeing so many documents that prove that he has been identified as an active member of the MS-13 gang. So no matter what they want you to think, oh, he's a father. Okay, yeah, he can be a dad, but that doesn't mean he's not affiliated to a gang. So in a document from the U.S. Department of Homeland Security, we see that he has been identified as an active member of MS-13. On the second page, it says that his gang criteria is arrested, alone, or also dress, reliable source, affiliates, gang, and frequents gang area. So, I mean, you really are the people that you hang around, and that was not a good choice for him. Again, Nayib, the president of El Salvador, he has posted that we are willing to take in only convicted criminals, including convicted U.S. citizens, into our mega prison CCOT in exchange for a fee. So rest assured, they're not just sending random everyday people there, but that is what Democrats want you to believe is happening, just so that you will hate Donald Trump. Now let's hear from Kilmar's wife, and then we are going to look at another document about Kilmar's behavior to his wife in just a second.
Today is 34 days after his disappearance, and I stand before you filled with spirit that refuses to bring down. I will not stop fighting until I see my husband alive. Kilmar, if you can hear me, stay strong. God hasn't forgotten about you. Our children are asking, when would you come home? And I pray for the day I tell them the time and date that you'll return.
Yes, again, it has to be extremely difficult for these families. And at the same time, it is also very important that people begin to respect our legal process. And it is a crime to enter illegally in our country, or it is also not correct to overstay your visa and then stay in this country for so long. And that is simply what Donald Trump is trying to change. If a Democrat was to do this, I mean, Obama deported thousands of people as well, and people didn't paint him out as a horrible person for doing so, but they're doing it to Trump just because he is trying to protect our country and protect our borders, which is very important. So a lot of people have been talking about this example of a woman who overstayed her visa. She is a Peruvian citizen, and she was working towards obtaining permanent residency in the United States. Now, they have been making the excuse that she wasn't able to travel back to Peru because it was during COVID-19. Now, I have the dual citizenship. I am a United States of American. I was born here, and I am also a Peruvian citizen from the part of my dad. And so during COVID-19, in the height of COVID-19, I took a repatriation flight to Peru. It was very easy. It was very possible to get a flight from the United States to Peru during the height of COVID. And so I hate the fact that they are using this as an excuse for her to have been able to stay here illegally. There's no excuse for that. And she knew that this was risky business. And so her husband is an American. He was a Trump voter. And they went on a vacation to Puerto Rico for their honeymoon. And then when they returned, they asked her if she was a US citizen. Probably wasn't the best idea to go on a vacation to. I don't know what they were thinking, but he says that it's been a nightmare and they're taking things as they come and they're moving forward. We have an attorney. The system for getting people through this seems to be very inefficient and it's taking longer than it should. And I agree that this has to be incredibly difficult for them. However, it is just the way it is. And there is a process. Yes, it is lengthy, but wouldn't it be better to do that and then have the rest of your life with peace of mind instead of just trying to get the temporary pleasure of being here immediately and working under the table immediately? It just makes sense to do the right thing, not just for our country, but also for the benefit and the well-being of the people who are immigrating here. They want you to think that conservatives don't like immigrants. But what we don't like is when people come here illegally and just there's no documentation of them. And so now he says that it has crossed my mind to move to Peru if she gets deported, but it would be very difficult for my son. And moving to Peru wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. In fact, it could be really exciting for them. He could get to know his wife's family better and understand more about her culture. I was watching a Democrat YouTubers that take on their specific situation, and I just found it so insane that they can use the excuse of COVID-19 for the reason why she wasn't able to be here legally, or as to why they didn't wait to progress their marriage visa stuff until she came to live and work in the United States. And this Democrat YouTuber was also encouraging the fact that she was working under the table, saying that, oh, well, she was providing for our country and benefiting our country. I really don't think so, because she wasn't paying taxes and just making it more difficult for the employers as well, because it's not legal to hire people and pay them under the table. So it's just really bizarre and twisted that our country has began to encourage these really bad things that should be looked down upon. And this acceptance of it is the reason why people do it more. And so I think that it's really good that we're pushing back on this and trying to help people do things the right way so that they can have peace of mind and just live a good life. And we welcome immigrants into the United States. Donald Trump made the gold card where people can pay $5 million. And so he is bringing people to the United States who actually are going to contribute. And if they go through the marriage process, then she will be able to come into the U.S. correctly, and they'll never have to worry about this ever again. And also now, because she did it illegally, a lot of times when you overstay a visa or something like that, they bar you from the U.S. for like 5 to 10 years. You're not allowed back. And so there is a reason why you have to do things the right way. And so we should stop encouraging people to do it the wrong way, because they're putting themselves in danger. And I don't know why you guys would want that for people. Not you. I'm talking about the Democrat YouTuber who was like, oh, well, she just wanted to work. She just wants a happy life or something. Like, yeah, so does everybody else, but there's a right way and a wrong way of doing things. And we should be encouraging the right way. Please make sure that you are subscribed. Thank you so much. I'll see you next time. Bye.